Fantasy is one of the most popular anime genres right now. It gave birth to some of the best manga ever written, and its future looks even brighter. The most famous ones you most probably already read, however, fantasy, and you can find those gems in this recommendation list. So without any further ado, let's move on to the list of the best top 10 fantasy manga. Number 10, No Longer Human in Another World. Before I talk about this manga, I might add some trigger warning because it highly emphasized eating oneself. Anyways, now we have here a fun fantasy manga that would surely make your stomach churn from too much laughter. If you're looking for a unique manga with dark humor and death jokes, this one's for you, my dear readers. Anyways, the story begins at 1948. Our boy Dazai committed double suicide alongside his lover. Instead of seeing the afterlife, Dazai got yeeted in a fantasy world where he was actually summoned to become an adventurer and save their world. Distraught by the thought of being alive and kicking, he yeeted himself again in the fantasy world. However, he was saved by the priestess who summoned him. With that, watch how Dazai lived as an adventurer in the fantasy world through reading this manga. Plus, you'll be able to find out his one reason as to why he is staying alive. Number 9, Want to Play Happily Because I Got the Heavenly Castle. Imagine getting mistakenly killed by an angel, and as a compensation, they'll transport you to another world and would fulfill one wish for you. What are you going to wish for? Well, anyways, going back, for our main character, Shihara Teiki, who suddenly died in his original world because of a mistake from an angel, got ice-skate to another world and was granted a wish. Well, for this guy, he already decided what he wants, and no, it's not wealth, amazing powers, and the typical stuff you'll see in an Isekai manga. His wish is to have a flying castle. If you're wondering why he wished for a flying castle, well, there is one reason for that, and that is this was his dream when he was a kid, to obtain a castle like that. In addition to that, his castle is dope. It has tons of stuff in it that will be helpful for you to live and survive life. Number 8, Chillin' in Another World with Level to Super Cheat Powers. Banaza, who was summoned to the Magic Kingdom of Cryroad as a hero candidate, was disqualified as a hero because of his ordinary abilities. He was supposed to be returned to his original world. But due to the Magical Kingdom's mistake, he became unable to return to his original world. However, the moment he reached level 2, he acquired every single possible skill and kind of magic, turning him into a super cheat with infinite skills. Despite this, he takes Fenris of the Demons as his wife and fully enjoys his newly married life with an easygoing smile. He changes his name to Fulio and tries to lead his life quietly, but things are a bit chaotic with the likes of a pet saber or freeloading female knights. Imagine, and even an ex-demon lord. However, even with all of this chaos, he still manages to enjoy his life peacefully. Number 7, Reincarnated Aristocrat, having appraisal skill to rise in the world. His first life was that of a banal salaryman. His death was just as mundane, however. His second life turned out to be a magnificent adventure. He was reborn as the son of a noble called Ars Luvent. Ars has no cool skills. He can't wield the sword nor use magic properly, but he possesses a skill never seen before, appraisal. With just a glance, he can determine the potential, skills, abilities, strength of any individual, so finding rare talents is a piece of cake for him. That ability comes especially handy in the current situation as a war is brewing. Determined to live the best life possible this time around, Art started gathering powerful warriors to create an invincible territory that falls under his authority. Number 6, I became the Demon Lord, so I created a dungeon and spent heartwarming time there with non-human girls, for I realized I had become the guardian of a dungeon, a Demon Lord. I was suddenly in a dangerous world with giant monsters loitering around, fighting for their existence. So I thought to go about developing the dungeon in order to not die, but for some reason I was having quite the good time. How did it turn out like this? The protagonist, Yuki, having to live in that world now, uses his bold and sharp senses and spends time with a supreme dragon girl and a vampire girl, sometimes laughing, sometimes being angry, passing days doing what he likes. Number 5, A Veterinarian in Another World. Kazami Shingo was summoned into another world. The purpose for that summoning was to make the territory more prosperous. To sum it up, it's a typical summoned into another world thingy is what Kazami thought at the time. But, I'm only a mere veterinarian. However, never underestimate a fantasy world. This world has dragons, monsters, and many other races. The difference of language, magic, food, religion, common sense, and many other aspects different from the Earth are endless. Even so, the veterinarian becomes a public servant and for the time being performing autopsies, medicine making, and improving agriculture. Not as a hero, not as a doctor, but as a veterinarian, and this is the story of how he do his best in making this another world as his new house. Number 4. The ideal Sponger life. Yamai Zenjiru was handpicked by the queen of another world and teleported to her castle to become her consort. Satisfied with his work, the beautiful queen requests for him to stay by her side forever, marry her, and become the father of her children. So, in short, the deal is to become the lover of a goddess, drown in money and luxury, and live the rest of his life chilling and relaxing. Just what are the crazy guys waiting for to say yes? Number 4. Spirit migration. A spirit that just appeared in another world was aimlessly drifting in a dungeon with no memory. He soon learned that he had the ability to possess bodies. He took over that of a beast and set foot outside for the first time. An adventure now begins, a fantastic journey filled with action, magic, and lots of girls. Number 3. Dungeon Seeker. Junpei Takeda is a weakling constantly bullied by his classmates. One day, the entire class was transported into a game-like world by a being that proclaimed himself God. Now able to get a new beginning, Junpei thought that things would change. But think again, he is just as puny as he was before. At least he has one special ability. He can steal the skills of any monster that he defeats. Just have to manage to kill one first. Even in this hell-like environment, his classmates didn't give the guys a break and tricked him into entering the sacrificial labyrinth, the dungeon that no one ever came back alive from. Surrounded by the most powerful monsters of the game, Junpei swears to survive and take revenge upon the disgusting humans who are more evil than the monsters. Number 2. Say Hate No Paladin. Will reincarnated in another world. He was just a bae and was cared for by a wise ghost, an overpowered skeleton warrior, and a mummy or nun. His new family taught him the ways of this new world, how to fight, how to use magic. They preached their religion and showed him what love was. Now, Will is an adult and has to pledge allegiance to one of the gods to receive his or her blessing. Then came the day when he had to set out into the world all on his own. However, a tragedy happened right before his departure. Will it hold him back or make him even stronger? Number 1. The wrong way to use healing magic. Ken Usido is an average high schooler who tends to avoid attention and popular people. However, when he met the Kakwai president and the vice president of the student council, two really extraordinary people, he just couldn't help but get close to them. So when those two unique individuals were summoned to become heroes, Ken was accidentally brought with them, trying to stay out of their way since he thought he would be average even in another world. He ends up hogging all the attention since he learned that he could use healing magic, the rarest of affinity of them all.